the Newhall Family Theater for the Performing Arts. For more information, go to scvchamber.com. And for all things Santa Clarita Valley related, go to hometownstation.com.
And welcome to the Alex Urbina radio show. I'm your host, Alex Urbina, joined in studio normally with my co-host, Ellen Tunick. She's not feeling well today, so I send love and blessings and healing energy your way. So I hope you get better soon, and we'll see you next Friday. But sitting in studio with me today to fill in for Ellen is Erin Aquaviva. Erin, thanks for taking the time to hang out with me today on the air.
Of course,
I appreciate it. So this show, in case you've just joined us and it's your first time, the show is all about life coaching and figuring out how to create maximum value for yourself through life coaching or with a life coach, or from simply the willingness to be open to all possibilities. You can create new things that you didn't know, things that you don't know, and just discover powerful breakthroughs and aha moments, realizations that you need to start collecting for yourself to be able to get yourself to the next level. Because if you stop growing and you stop evolving, both mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, at a certain point, you're going to start hitting some problems. You're going to start creating the same results, wondering why you don't create the kinds of results that you really yearn for. And so today we're going to have a coaching session with you, and I'm excited to get into that. But before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about what it is to be coachable and kind of go over some of those distinctions. So the first thing I want to talk about to being coachable is that you got to be open-minded. You really have to be open to all possibilities, and whether you can see them or not, you just got to be open to that. They can be created. They are possible to achieve or attain or manifest or create in your life. That's where it all starts, is mindset. So you got to be really open to the possibility. You might not necessarily have to agree about what you're hearing, but just be open to the possibility that it is possible. Other people are creating them. They can't see it that way. And if you're open to all possibilities, you can actually start that growth process. The other thing that I want to talk about is about being self-aware. You really got to be willing to look at yourself. And for a lot of people, that seems to be one of the most challenging things as a human being, is to really look at yourself. In fact, from my experience, a lot of people spend a lifetime not wanting to look at themselves. And so what they do is they create this paradigm or this vision of constantly looking outside of them, either trying to fix the other person or trying to fix the circumstance or trying to control the circumstance or trying to focus on the results and why the results aren't working. And they have this mindset that it's everything that's outside of me that I have to course correct or fix or make it right, rather than looking within myself to figure out what's missing in the context of who I'm being or who I'm not being that is a little bit off. And if I can course correct some of those things internally, then I can actually start causing different results outside of me. And so you got to really be willing to look in and be self-reflective. And then the other thing is that you got to really be willing to surrender some old limiting beliefs that you could have possibly created about yourself that aren't necessarily true. Mm-hmm. Like the belief that I'm not good enough, or the belief that I'm not wanted, or I'm not lovable, or I'm not smart enough or pretty enough, or just not enough in general to be creating the things that you say that you want the most. So limiting beliefs will sabotage any attempt to create the things that are extraordinary or the things that you have to rise to that level to create. So you have to be willing to surrender some of the old limiting beliefs and the old conditioning, right? We have this old conditioning that we were brought up in certain homes, whether they're homes of faith or certain religions. There's those beliefs that come with that, or certain things your parents told you to do or not to do. And so we bring all of our childhood conditioning into our current adult life, and we're wondering why we're struggling with trying to figure out how to create the results that we really desire. So does that sound like a good game plan to help set you and the people that are listening to be open to having breakthroughs in a coaching session?
I'm game.
All right.
I'm in.
So you've been in for a little while. You and I have been coaching for a little bit. And I want to thank you, first of all, for being here and being willing to be open on the radio and just kind of sharing a little bit about you and your personal life and whatever it is that you're struggling with, so that other people can watch in or listen in and identify themselves possibly through the struggles that you're going through, so they can actually have some breakthroughs for themselves just by tuning in. So what's the first thing you want to talk about? What's the first starting point for this dialogue?
Well, I think for me, the first thing that comes up, because I'm kind of in this transition period, I left a career that I've known for the past 14 years, 15 years, if you count the planning that I did, 20 years to get into the career that I was in, which was a career in teaching, to really step into my purpose and my vision. And I feel in alignment with that. I feel that I'm stepping the right direction. Which is still related to the background that I'm in. But as I step into this purpose, you said something about self-worth that came up for me, which is, and what it looks like. So I had self-worth and what it looks like come up for me. Like, what is this supposed to look like as I step into my purpose and I'm being the creator of my life and my experiences. And as I create, let me back up a little bit, a learning center is what I'm up to, creating a learning center based around emotional intelligence and connection. And so one, the self-worth. Am I good enough to do this? Am I strong enough to do this? Am I smart enough to do this? All that. As you're saying those things, all of that was coming up for me. Like, man, I really step into some self-doubt, and how to work with that doubt, because it's going to come up, and I know that those are my limited beliefs, and I know that comes from my past, and I work through that, and I'll reach out to you. But as they come up, what are some tools to work with to believe in me, to push myself forward, to believe in my own greatness?
First of all, thanks for being willing to kind of tell on yourself, because that's the first step of being coachable, is being willing to out yourself, right? You always hear me say, I need you to out yourself. I need you to tell on yourself, because the one thing that can really stifle growth is by us pretending not to know that there's something in our way. And the way that you break through that is to be honest and take that deep, honest look at yourself, and then out yourself to somebody that you trust, a husband, a wife, a good friend, a mentor, a coach. And then you got to tell somebody, hey, I'm doubting myself right now. I need you to remind me how amazing I am, right? So when you're talking about the tools, the number one tool that I like to tell people is sometimes no tool in your belt is good enough to get you out of that funk. So you got to be willing to ask for help. And you got to really be create and surround yourself around 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 people that you trust, that when you go to them and with your honesty about doubting yourself or worrying about what you can't control and all the stuff that's plaguing you, you got to be willing to set up some kind of a contract or an agreement that when you make that call to them, or when you reach out to them, that they're going to be there for you in that moment, just to remind you that yes, you can. And that's the part of contradicting the limiting belief and the self-doubts and the fears and all the insecurities that like to creep in every once in a while when you decide that you want to get out of your comfort zone and create something extraordinary. And yeah, you're right, it is going to happen. It's just part of the process. So to not freak out and know that it's coming down the pipeline and it's going to seep through the cracks and it's going to come through at the moment that you are really like one day you can be really excited, the next morning you wake up and then all of a sudden you're in this funk. And sometimes you don't know why you're in the funk, so you need to reach out to someone and say, hey, I'm feeling really weird this morning. And through the conversation with whoever that person is for you, you can try to figure out and identify what it is. If you're working with a coach, and the coach can help you go down and figure out what the trigger is, like what's triggering you right now that you're doubting yourself, and then walk you through that process. So for one, I think the best tool that you have in your tool belt is somebody that believes in you, somebody that wants you to win, someone that can see your greatness before you can, or the one that's willing to run to you at the first moment of your self-doubt and go, hey, let me just remind you that if you can see yourself through the eyes that I see you, you wouldn't be worrying right now. Right. And you go, tell me more, right?
Yeah, right.
You know,
I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I love the words of affirmation.
Yeah,
you go ahead and tell me, and I'll walk away feeling
that's
like...
right. So find people in your life that can affirm your greatness. That's the number one tool that you need to have in your belt, and have it sharpened and have it and really take care of that relationship, because I got to tell you how important and how valuable it is to have someone to believe in you more than you believe in yourself. For me, is one of the greatest gifts that I've ever been received and been the recipient of, because by hanging around that person or those people long enough, before you realize it, you start walking around going, yeah, I guess I am that guy that you see and that you keep talking about, or I want to be that guy. Like for me, when I had my coaches and my mentors and in the early years of my development, I wanted to hang around my coach all the time. In fact, I would, find reasons to be around her, or I would, make excuses to, to show up and hang out with her at a lunch, or, just figure out how to get near her as much as possible. Because every time I was around her, some way, whether it was directly or indirectly, she was always affirming who I am and what she saw capable of me, even when I couldn't see it myself. So that's the greatest gift you can give yourself, is a coach, a mentor, somebody that really believes in you, that you can call them in those moments to kind of pull you out of that funk. So what are you hearing me say in response to the question that you asked?
I'm hearing you say that, one, when you're in the funk, reach out. And reach out to those people that you've put in your life that are going to build you up and say how amazing you are, even when you can't see it. And when you say that, I can just feel the struggle coming up, because when you're in that funk, it's so easy to just say, I'm in a funk. I'm not reaching out to anybody. I'm just,
right.
I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to just stay in bed today and
Right.
think about all the ways that I can escape this venture that I'm on, or this new thing, or this new found purpose. And, but to stop and say, nope, I need to get on the phone, or I need to surround myself with people that are going to pull me right out of that.
Yeah.
So I hear you saying that. And then also just to be in that space, of your coach or your mentor or your person or people that do build you up. So not even just when you're in the funk, but just always to kind of be in that space.
Be proactive. Get ahead of the funk days, right? Get ahead of that so that you're building that up such that you have less and less days of, sadness and doubts and fears. So if you're always building the muscle never, it hardly ever gets weak and wants to give out, because you're strengthening it.
Right.
But there are times that you will go 3 or 4 days without hanging around your people, your village, or a week or two where you've been missing, and all of a sudden you're wondering why week 2, week 3, you're starting to feel the doubt creep back in. So it's a process.
Right.
And then as you were kind of sharing what you're hearing me say, as you were talking about when you're in that funk to reach out, some of us that are listening are probably going, Alex, what if I can't reach out, or I don't feel like reaching out in that moment?
Yeah.
So then it becomes now the possibility of you asking your team of people to look out for you for those days when you notice that you're missing or MIA. Give those people permission to call you out on it, or check in with you and go, hey, where have you been? I haven't seen you for a while. To, ask those people to give you permission to hold you accountable for staying on task or remembering who you are, and give those people permission to come and rescue you and pull you out of your own funk if that's what you need. Like, don't be afraid to ask those people to come and rescue you when you need to be rescued.
And it might be a little difficult at that time, but
exactly,
you got to be committed enough to me to stick with me and pull me through it.
And in return, because you're going to be that for me, I'm going to return it in a certain way that adds value to you, or I'll be that support for you, whether it's in that direct way or in a different way. But create some kind of agreement where you support each other, even like supportive buddies, find buddies where you just make a pact that we're going to pull each other out of our funk when we go there. And, you know, it's all about surrounding yourself around a team of people that are going to help you get to your next level.
Sounds good.
So that's self-doubt.
And
did you want to keep diving down that realm? Because we can do this for weeks.
I think what you've said is also a little bit affirming in that I have built that in you. We've been working together in coaching, and now here I am also co-creating a situation where we are now working together to build this learning center. So I feel a little bit like what you're saying, I'm going that direction, right? And putting you in my corner as you agree to be in my corner.
You are doing that. However, and I'm going to call you out on the air.
Do it.
Sometimes you will not. Sometimes I'll be the last person that you reach out to because of whatever reasons or stories you've made up. And it could be anything from, I don't want to bother you, because you've said this before.
Yes.
I know you're really busy.
Yes.
And so you have to be worthy enough to let me know and give me the honor of deciding whether I'm busy or not, or if I can take time to step out and go, hey, I got 2 messages from you. Are you okay?
Right.
Like, don't make up these stories. How profound is it, or how is it sabotaging you to have a coach and a mentor that can be that gift for you, but if you're not utilizing it and using it, what's the point?
Yeah, if I'm making up stories against it.
Yeah, like it wouldn't make sense. And I can see people in your life going, have you called Alex yet? And you're like, no.
Well, he's busy.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So if you have permission and you have that kind of relationship and you got the agreement, you got to learn to pull it, because that's what it's for. Help is there to help you.
Right.
So don't avoid it and make up excuses in those moments.
Gotcha.
All right. Vision, purpose, self-doubt, and naysayer. So we knocked out the self-doubt, right?
Yes.
What's next for you?
Well, I think so being in that alignment, being in purpose, feeling those feelings of excitement and the leg shaking and, you know, this is where I'm supposed to be, to now confronting people that maybe don't understand what you're doing, or, you know, because I'm about growing and evolving and carrying this through our youth. And when people don't get me, I feel up against naysayers. So how do you work in that when you're, you know, how do you work with naysayers? How do you keep going? How do you keep motivated?
All right. This is a great one. The way that you work and deal with naysayers is you have to learn how to embrace them rather than resist them. So when it comes to resistance, is every time we have haters or naysayers or anyone that comes with negative stuff, most of the time as human beings, we don't want to hear them. We don't want them to be around us. So we go into the psychological resistance of not wanting them around, and we don't want them, you know, then we confront them. Hey, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Or, hey, you need to keep that negativity. But even in your resistance to it, you're giving life to them.
Right.
It's like a meanie or a bully can only survive based on your resistance to them. The minute you stop resisting and move on to what you're headed towards, or what you're up to creating, or the direction that you're going, they will eventually move on to wherever they need to move on to next, because you're not sitting around in resistance to them and playing the game. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So with naysayers, let them naysay. That's what they do best. That's the dysfunction they're in. That's the journey that they're at. It's the level that they operate at, and you resisting it or telling them what you need to tell them, it may or may not make a difference. But what I'm trying to say is that it puts you it becomes now a distraction. Naysayers are distractions. So the question I'm going to ask you is, if you have 5 or 6 or 12 naysayers around you in your life, are you more committed to shutting them down and letting them know
Proving
that you don't
yourself,
want, and improving and defending yourself, and or are you more productive focusing on the vision of what you say you want and your purpose and making a difference in the world and all that kind of stuff? So you got to decide that your time and your energy and your focus is really important.
Right.
And it's creative. So if you focus on what you don't want, which we'll call naysayers, and you're looking at them and you're giving them your attention, even if it's deflecting it or not wanting it, you actually give them more life and you give them more to naysay on. So you got to learn how to pivot yourself and start focusing on what you do want, not what you don't want.
Right.
So what are you hearing me say in that?
Well, for me, what's coming up is like the law of attraction. So if I put my energy on focusing on the naysayers, then I'm going to get sucked into that energy. And a lot of my energy is going to be spent trying to prove myself and get them to agree, maybe a fight to be right kind of situation.
That's right.
Instead of just really focusing on what my dreams are and what I'm trying to create as a creative soul and being, and focusing my energy there. Focusing my energy on the naysayers is just depleting me of my energy. It's not allowing me to create. It's giving up my power is what I hear you saying.
Okay, cool.
If you choose that. But if you choose the road of stay focused, stay believing in yourself, stay in purpose, stay in your vision, then your energy is all about creating what you want in your life.
And it becomes more powerful, and the light and the energy becomes more attractive. And then what you end up doing is you start attracting the people that do get you, the ones that are for what you're up to and can see it. So what I'm going to advise you to do is when you see naysayers, I want you to create a powerful statement that you can say in your head that frees you up from them. So an example would be if you got a couple of naysayers around you or one of them pops off, you got to tell yourself mentally, oh, you don't see it yet. And then the you don't see you yet goes, now I can move on to.
You're not ready for me yet.
Okay. Hey. You can't see it yet. You know, it's part of your journey, but you got to do this in here because
yes.
You say it out, then
then your fight to right.
Yeah, then they hook you back into. What do you mean? I don't see it, and then now you're in. Now they've pulled you in.
Now your energy is spent there. Yeah.
So you tell yourself something internally for you to focus on the people that can see it. And then before we go on a break, I just want to point out something that I've been learning and realizing for the last 3 or 4 years is in this world, there are people that don't get you. There are people that don't like you. And there are people that love you. So you have to start spending your time with the people that love you and that get you, and just be patient for the people that either don't like you or don't get you yet, because their time may or may not come, but you spending your time on them is a wasted time of what your purpose energy is for. Remember that your time and your creative energy is limited. You only have a few number of years and days and hours to really create something extraordinary, so that on your deathbed you look back and go, man, what a legacy I left behind. And I'm so glad that I didn't let not one more naysayer grab onto me and redirect my energy to focus on things that I don't want. Got it?
Got it.
All right, we have to take a short break. When we get back, we're going to take this coaching session to a whole nother level. You ready for that?
Stop.
Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
You're going places, and College of the Canyons can get you there. Didn't get into the school you applied to, or maybe it's too expensive. Why not start at College of the Canyons, where it's only $46 per unit? COC also offers financial aid, classes that use free textbooks, and a promise program that allows qualifying full-time, first-time students to go to COC tuition-free their first year. Visit canyons.edu now. That's canyons.edu.
Who says nothing good happens after midnight? Denny's is best known for their breakfast served round the clock, like the Grand Slam. But you can enjoy breakfast, lunch, or dinner in a casual atmosphere 24/7. At Denny's, the lunch and dinner menu has a variety of appetizers, craveable burgers, salads, and entrees, along with the best desserts in town. Wherever you live in Santa Clarita, there's a Denny's close by. If you're pulling an all-nighter or don't feel like cooking, get into Denny's today. Good stuff is happening at Denny's.
Your hometown station.
KHTS AM 1220 and the new 98.1 FM.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show. I'm your host. I'm an advanced life coach specialist, and I'm hanging out with Aaron Aquaviva. And you're in the hot seat today, taking some coaching.
I am.
in a pretty cool coaching session that I get to learn too. And I don't know if people know this, but when you're a coach, you actually start to learn things at the next level or to the 10th degree, because as I'm coaching you, what I'm really doing is coaching myself for the 30th time or 50th time or 100th time. So it's and all teachers know this.
Yes.
What it is that you need to learn the most as you teach it, you end up teaching yourself.
Yeah, I've said that out loud. Like, what I'm telling you, I'm really telling myself.
Yeah.
So just, nobody takes it like I'm not above this.
Yeah.
We've all gone through this growth.
So imagine how many coaching sessions have you ever been in your lifetime?
Coaching sessions.
Yeah, where you sit with someone and they're opening up possibilities and you're like having these breakthroughs with intention. Give me a number, 100?
Yeah, maybe 100.
Okay, all right, 100. So I've been in my own coaching sessions, maybe 1,200 to 2,000. But when it comes to coaching other people, I've probably been in 7,000, 8,000.
Right.
So in total, I've been in about 7,000 or 8,000 coaching sessions where I'm still hearing myself learn from myself or even the other person. Because even you, when I go, what are you hearing me say? And you're sharing, and I'm going, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's more like we're getting clarity every time we get in a room. It's like two musicians that get their instrument and we just start jamming. It's like a jam session.
Yes.
And then when you walk out, you both feel enlightened. You feel empowered because of the clarity that you walk out. So what's magical about a coaching session is that you get to go in there and get some clarity about what direction you get to head down in life. You get to course correct some things. You get to be challenged about certain things that you want to do or be, and then have somebody kind of challenge you and remind you of what your intention was, or remind you of how what you want to do or what you want to choose is not of your higher self, or, you know what I mean? You're just constantly course correcting yourself.
Right.
So imagine getting that kind of clarity every week. You end up slowly transforming into this very powerful human being that can master their own emotions, and you're also able to help support other people through their journeys, and it's a beautiful experience.
Yes.
To help yourself such that you're able to help others.
Right. I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of that and say what I love and enjoy so much about coaching is I'm always up for a challenge. You asked me an hour before to be on the radio, and I'll be on the radio. I'm up for a challenge. Right?
I asked you yesterday, we were at Aaron's home, and in your backyard, I noticed you had a trampoline.
Yes.
And I said, do you get on that thing? And you go, yeah. And I said, you won't get on right now. And I swear, she opened the door, rolled up on the trampoline, and was doing these. And I was just going, all right. I see.
You see me.
I see you. I see you.
So that's a big part of what I love about coaching is that challenging piece. And why not take yourself on in those challenging? And there's a ton of challenges, but I think the thing about challenges is you're really taking yourself on. So I love that about coaching, but then you've got this other very loving, compassionate space with it too. So it's so perfect for me, but would be so perfect for everyone if you just have someone in your corner to, one, challenge you, and then to speak into your greatness, which is like such a beautiful combination of creating these confident human beings that can let go of the things that are holding them back in their life.
Yeah.
And we don't always see that in ourselves. We need somebody else to say, hey, like you called me out right now, you make up excuses like Alex doesn't have enough time, and somebody that can call you out on those things that are holding you back, but then also speak into the things that and notice the things that you are creating in your life.
But in case you didn't know, we don't like being called out.
Right.
The ego does not like, out of everything in the entire world, the ego hates to be called out, which is the process of breaking through the ego, surrendering the ego, and then reclaiming your authentic spiritual self. And so that's the process that you get to challenge yourself, is fighting that ego and dismantling that ego and putting it in its place so that it can help support you in the way that it was designed to, not get in there and take over everything where it ends up sabotaging relationships and the way you communicate and the stories that you make up and just run amok. It's about figuring out how to dial in the ego, you taking control of it again and putting it in its place for it to support you, not sabotage you.
Right. And I think one of the greatest challenges of outing myself, or even being outed or being called out, is that period of self beat up and working on that space, which is one of the very first things that we worked on in our coaching sessions is when I out myself, then I go into this place of I shouldn't have done that, or I don't even want to out myself because I'm in this space of self beat up and I'm not confident about myself, about this one thing that I did, this one act. And, maybe it was losing control of my emotions with my kids and feeling frustrated and angry or letting them tag me. And now I'm in self beat up because I spent, 20 minutes of my time doing that. And so outing myself in that and bringing myself to that space, I feel like it brings me back to that self beat up. So working on the forgiveness and moving on and being present and getting rid of that self beat up. And I think but the self beat up part of it is why it's difficult for people to out themselves or be outed.
Right. However, when you're outing yourself in front of your coach, like for me, example, I won't allow you to beat yourself up.
Right.
So you outing yourself in front of me, I'm able to create that space for you that it's okay for you to do that. And then figure out how to look at it to where you don't beat yourself up, because that doesn't help you or support you or do anything for you. But let's take what you just outed and let's learn from it so that it actually empowers you. And then if you have enough of those sessions, you're able to out yourself on your own when I'm not there without the self beat up. So even that in itself, there's a breakthrough, but you got to go through that process and have somebody walk you through there and teach you a different way than the way that you've designed it to be, just unconsciously and haphazardly.
Right.
So we went over the self-doubt, we went over the naysayers. What's your take on naysayers now? How do you see it even in this moment about naysayers and the power that they have over you, or you think they have over you?
I feel like I'm going to walk out of here letting people be who they are, right? And just not letting it tag me.
Yeah.
Not tying an emotion to what other people, just focusing on me and focusing on my purpose and my vision, and allowing myself to feel great about the things that I'm doing and not letting a naysayer bring me down or take me down a road of spending energy.
So let me ask you a question. Do naysayers have your permission to naysay?
Do they have my permission
to
naysay? They have my permission to be who they are.
Okay, but when you don't want them to be a naysayer towards your goals, in that moment, are you giving them permission, or do they not have permission anymore?
They don't have permission to have any energy or focus or say over what I'm doing.
Right, but do you have control over that?
I do.
You do?
I have control. I don't have control over what they do. I have control over my reaction to it.
Right, so then my question is do naysayers have permission to naysay around you?
Yes.
Even towards the things that you say you want?
Yes.
Okay, good. So then by you giving them permission, it frees you up now.
Right.
To not even need to worry about them, because you can't control naysayers.
Right.
So allow naysayers to do what they do best, because that's part of their journey. We don't get to make judgments about them. We don't get to choose to hate them or not like them or not all the negative stuff. Just be compassionate for that's where they are in their journey, and hope that as soon that they will get themselves out of that journey and transition into a different place in their life, right? Send a blessing their way and then move on.
Right.
But by you sitting there and hanging around and arguing with a naysayer says a lot about where you're at and where you're stuck,
right, and
where you're focused at. And so if you're a part of a project that I'm on, and when you get stuck on naysayers, I'm going to go, hey, buddy, we got work to do over here, and you're arguing with 4 naysayers?
Right.
I don't get it. So
right.
Either you spend your time arguing with naysayers, but I'm going to come over here and start focusing on what we say we wanted. And so I'm painting a picture that's funny. But when you really look at it, you're like, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Right.
When I'm sitting there, defending myself to people that just don't get it, or that aren't ready for me, like you said,
right,
and focus on what it is that I want.
Right. And another thing that came up for me as you were talking, and that I love about coaching or having somebody in your corner, a mentor, or even just a really great friend, is that reminder that I want to be compassionate. That's the part. I want to be that. I don't want to be the person that's arguing with a naysayer. But you point that out. Do you want to be the compassionate, loving person towards these human beings that this is just where they're at in their life? Or do you want to be sitting arguing and spending your energy? It's like you just gave me permission to be who I am, and point that out. And we forget those things because of, our stories, our limited beliefs, or how we were raised, that we think, oh, I need to prove myself or I need to get into this. But to have a reminder that when you said the word compassion, I got like, well, that's who I am. Why wouldn't I choose that? Always.
Because you forget.
Yes.
You get some temporary insanity and you go off fighting these battles because of triggers, that unconscious triggers that trigger you from your past. And so then there you go, spinning your top. And I got to go, Aaron, over here, remember? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? So to have someone redirect you, I think, is pretty valuable, don't you?
Yeah, and it frees you up. It just frees you up to
Yeah.
really be the creator and to manifest what you want in your life, if you're willing.
All right, so self-doubt, we knocked out the naysayers. Now we have purpose and vision. Which one do you want to jump on next?
Well, I guess we could ask the question about how do we know when we're really onto our purpose? How do we connect to that? How do we...
I can tell you for me, when I discovered my purpose, I felt it. And it was undeniable. So even in asking the question, like, how do I know if this is my purpose, Alex? Then I'm going to put a smile on my face because you'll know. And you're not asking the question, right? It's that old saying that, it's kind of like what you don't know until you know it. But when you know it, you know it. And it's in the knowing that you're searching for. So like for my kids, I always have been teaching my kids since they were little is your job in your lifetime is to go discover your purpose. And I remember these little eyes looking at me going, well, how do I do that?
Yeah.
So I said, well, what you got to do is you got to go like a little kid for the rest of your life. Go chase your passions. Go chase what you love. Go chase what you enjoy. And in the chase, at a moment in time that just freezes for you, you get clarity of this is it right here. So it's chasing multiple things. I love fishing. I love DJing. I love working with pets. I love working with children. I love helping people. So you got all these loves, and I'm in all of them. And I'm volunteering for some, and I'm doing some that I'm getting paid for, and there's some that I just am creating out of scratch, and some I'm inventing. And you're in all your sandboxes playing, following your passions, the things that you love. Well, out of all 5 or 6 or 7 of those, one of them's just going to be it's always going to be right there going ding, 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 and then one might die out. One might, not flourish the way you wanted it to, but that one's just going to be sitting there. It's going to be tugging at your heart. And that one that you keep ignoring, if you wake up and look at it and connect with it and give yourself permission to really feel it, that's the one that's telling you this is why you were born. This is why I gave you the gifts I gave you to be able to, and when I say I mean God, gave us certain specific gifts to go out and share your gift with the world and be the contribution that you were created to be in the world, to make that kind of a difference in whatever it is that you've decided that your gift and your purpose is, and then live happily ever after and live peaceful and joyful and enjoy relationships filled with love and connectedness. And so all of those goodies come when you decide to go embark on your own conscious journey and discover what your gift is. And you'll find your purpose when you find it.
Can you feel it coming? Because I feel like, I'm on this journey, and some things happened in my life that made me a little bit more motivated to really discover purpose, right? And to start going the direction of the things that make me happy, and that I'm passionate about. One of those things really being a mom, and my commitment to being a mom and my commitment to growing and evolving as a parent. Not just that I brought these 2 human beings into the world, but I have that commitment to always be the best person that I can be so that they maybe rise up to be the best people they can be.
Absolutely.
So I know that that's a passion of mine, coupled with a lot of other things that are kind of coming down the pipes, right? So I feel like I'm it feels right. I feel something great coming. So can you feel it when you're starting to step into purpose, or is it just like boom, something that hits you?
No, you feel it, and it's pulling and tugging at you and it's drawing. But you just brought up a great point, and it's the purpose of being a great mom and raising competent, confident, loving, compassionate human beings that get their gift so they can contribute their gift to the world. So then that's a purpose. But by just bringing up the mom opens up that. Can there be multiple purposes? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That's what I feel like, because that was my first, big aha purpose that I felt connected to.
Okay, great. So remember what that feels like, because that feeling is intuitive. Like, I feel like, in all the women in the world that can have babies, not all of them are compelled to be a mother. Not all of them. Maybe that's not one of their purposes or their main purpose. So they just, for whatever reason, don't choose that path. And then there's some moms that were just like, I'm sorry, but this is the gift I gave you, right? And God gave you to go, you get to be a mom and you get to be a great mom. Mm-hmm. Or you get to birth kids, and it might not necessarily be your purpose to be the best mom, but you do have a purpose. You need to figure out what that is. But for you, and I think, millions of women out there, you get to own, and especially if you feel it, that's your purpose, is to raise children and nurture them and love them and inspire them and remind them that they are extraordinary and that they too have a gift. However, you also have to be modeling that. Mm-hmm. You can't just sit there and be preaching to them if you're not chasing your dreams, if you're not chasing your passions, if you haven't discovered your purpose, if you haven't learned how to be vulnerable and all loving and accepting and patient, and you haven't mastered that, it's very challenging for you to want your kids to be that, because what happens on their end is they're watching and they're seeing some things that aren't matching up.
Right. They're
feeling some hypocrisy, and so it's very challenging to be wanting that for them. But yet on your end, on the back end, what you don't want them to see is all the other dysfunctions that you haven't been willing to work on or master.
Well, I think that purpose of being a mom and being so committed to being the example for them, because I'm understanding how much they're learning just from the example, has been such a huge motivator and inspiration to me to step away from what I've known for years and step into something that is taking me down that road of purpose.
Yeah.
And is filling my cup, so to speak, because it fills me up just thinking about creating this learning center that I'm creating. And a huge inspiration in that is just knowing my kids are seeing me do that.
Yeah.
Instead of me just saying, live your dreams, find your purpose. No, I'm taking a huge risk.
I know a lot of mothers that read a lot of books, do a lot of personal work, gain a lot of the information, learn the buzzwords, and will say and preach to their kids inspirational words and quotes and all that, but aren't being the example or the modeling of being courageous and getting out of their comfort zone and challenging their fears and having these breakthroughs and sharing with their kids what they're learning, or none of that stuff. But here I watch you, and I'm not trying to diss you, but you don't speak like with these powerful words, and you're not like this motivational speaker, but you're just raw and authentically courageous, and you're living that courageously in front of your kids. And I feel like you inspire your kids 1,000 times more than some of these parents that think it's all about the words and what they're saying. You're literally showing your kids with your heart and with your courage, and by letting them see that and witness that is so powerful and so profound.
Thank you. I'm brought to tears a little bit because this is my purpose and my passion, one of them. And I just love being a mom, and I want to be the best mom that I am. So, and then that's the inspiration for coaching too, is to constantly be calling me out to grow and be this bigger, better version of me, not compared to anybody else, but to do that for me, but also to do it for my kids because they are my purpose.
And you're being a great example for them to be a leader and be courageous. And I'm so proud of you. And we're going to take a short break. When we come back, You want to take it to a whole nother level, or do you want to wrap up?
I'm always down.
You are. We'll just wrap it up.
Okay.
All right, stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly, or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, SCV.
Fruit arranged like flowers? What a delicious idea! Edible Arrangements specializes in creating a variety of fresh fruit arrangements overflowing with fresh, hand-designed fruit and filled with strawberries, pineapple, grapes, cantaloupe, honeydew, and seasonal favorites. Made to order in a size you select and ready to eat and enjoy. You can even add chocolate to any arrangement. Edible Arrangements is always fresh, always appropriate, and always appreciated. Order yours today, 253-0052 or ediblearrangements.com. Edible Arrangements is on Soledad near Bouquet Canyon.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign, next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
KHTS.
Now FM, 98.1 FM, and AM 1220, your hometown station.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina radio show. I'm your host, Alex Urbina. I'm an advanced life coach specialist. And in case you missed the show today, we've been in a very deep coaching session and hanging out with this courageous, vulnerable, and loving, caring, compassionate mother of two beautiful kids, Erin Aquaviva. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate all the time that we spend together and all the breakthroughs that you're willing to have, because you're willing to have them, I have them too. And so I grow just as much as you do in these sessions, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me today.
Yeah, of course. So as a wrap-up, what are some of the things that you're getting clear today about who you are, what you're about, the vision that you want to create, the purpose that you get to keep chasing, and just the overall direction that you're headed?
Well, I feel like I've had a lot of reminders, and then there's been kind of a lot of things that I've gotten clear about. Self-doubt and reaching out when you're in self-doubt, when you're in those kind of funky spaces that you find yourself in, to reach out, or at least put people in your life that you've made some kind of agreement with that are going to pull you out of those places and not let you stay there. So
are you clear about our agreement?
I am clear about our agreement.
Okay.
I think we got clear about that, yesterday, and then just to reaffirm it today,
Okay.
because I do coaching with Alex also outside of this radio session. So that self-doubt is being courageous enough to step out and ask for support, and then being around people that can call you up, and making those agreements. And then the naysayer piece, it's just not giving your power to that. Just letting them be the naysayers they're going to be. I don't have any control over that, and so I get to focus my energy in what I'm creating and believing in what I'm creating, no matter what other people think. Which brings up a whole nother thing about what it looks like and things like that. But just really being clear about believing in myself and believing in my vision. And then the purpose piece, one, I think I just got to share, which felt really good, one of my purposes here in this physical form, and that we also get to have more than one purpose because I feel like there's this other piece of me that's stepping into something really great, and I feel it coming, and knowing, I think I've grappled with that idea. Like, do we have more than one purpose? Are our purposes connected? Are they? And just also letting that go and just kind of doing what feels right and taking the steps as they feel right and saying yes to things and being willing to, look at myself and continue to, ask myself the question, is this where I want to be? Is this what makes me happy? Is this what I'm passionate about? And if I'm not, to move on,
Yeah, I think I've had experience working with mothers that come to me, and after they realize that their kids have grown up and have moved on to college, a lot of times those women will tell me, I'm lost. And they'll say, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing, because my whole life I've been committed to being a mom and being that mom that raises kids that are respectful and have honor and dignity, and just building them up and supporting them and running them around to sports and all that stuff. That their whole identity has just been a mom. And so a lot of times I like to remind women that, there could possibly be another purpose for you to start looking for when your kids are in high school and when they got some time off, when you got some time off, is to give yourself permission to go out and explore, go on the internet and research and find out what could you be possibly interested in, and give yourself permission to take classes and try new things and, dabble here and there to see what really is, what excites you, and then look at some of your own inner qualities and, search for what could be my next purpose, what could be the gifts that I have that I'm holding back from the rest of the world because I haven't consciously woken up and gave myself permission to even entertain that idea.
And I love that alone, doing that research and dabbling and checking things out, which I can be the queen of sometimes, is just, I want to try that. Sign me up for that. Sign me up for that. Sign me up for that. And, but in that process, you're still fueling that purpose of being a mom, because you're teaching your kids how to explore what makes you passionate and what fills your cup, and explore your purpose. And you're modeling that while they're still in your presence, and you're still a main influencer in their lives. So I love that could be all intertwined, and none of it is working against each other, and none of it's working in resistance.
So when you get to your deathbed and you have your son and your daughter and their families all standing around you, and both your son and daughter get a few minutes to just say something to you out of gratitude, what do you want to hear them say?
Wow. I guess just thank you for showing me the way to love myself. Thank you for showing me the way to love myself and live my purpose. Because I'm so happy in life because I saw you fight for that.
I think you got some clarity today, right?
Yeah.
So thank you, my friend, for always being willing to jump along aboard with me in my journey and helping make a difference. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. That's it for us today here on the Alex Urbina Radio Show. You can always find me or follow me on Facebook at Coach Alex Urbina, and on Instagram or YouTube. Thanks for joining us on the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.